Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of The Walking Dead. A great episode, a lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Obviously, picking up where last week's episode left off, the fight continues. I'm an idiot. It didn't even cross my mind to think, because obviously they're caught between the dead are approaching and behind them's on fire. It's like, right, Hilltop is made out of wood, so the entrance is just burning down, but still, it's like they're being backed against a corner that is Hilltop, and the dead are flooding in. Obviously, there's some, just a few whisperers mixed in with it, so it's a situation of just like everybody's kind of going hard. Hilltop is burning. You have Ezekiel getting the kids out, but Judith's there, and Judith is killing walkers, and then she ends up stabbing a whisperer, and he takes off his mask, and I think she pauses because she's killed walkers before. She's never killed anyone before, so it was that moment of like, wait, what? Earl comes over, grabs her up. You have Eugene rushing to the tower because he's trying to get to all that equipment before it burns. You got Yumiko going all Archer. You got Carol going all Archer too, but like they're kind of like the bodies are piling up so much that the dead can't go too much further because they're all kind of getting stopped on, like the bodies are kind of forming like almost like a wall kind of stopping them. So what I think is interesting too, we don't get the full scope of the battle. Like we get that section of it, and then like when we come back to it, it's all done. Which I think is a good way of just handling it, because I think going forward it would have just been a struggle because most of the whisperers were waiting back anyway. So all they had to do was wait for Hilltop to continue and burn. But all the walkers are dead. But anyone that's left on the battlefield, the whisperers are going around killing, stabbing them in the heart. It's interesting because we see Negan using Lucille, and it's so interesting because it's like, once again, it doesn't come up that often. Against regular people, I mean, granted, that was someone that was coming, it was someone that was still alive that he used Lucille on. That hasn't happened in a while. Because to me, I talked about that in season 7. Every time he had Lucille, I was always scared. He actually never used Lucille against a living person until that moment. Granted, that was someone died. Because I'm pretty sure every other time he's used it has been against someone that was dead. Like he's never used it against a living person. Not that I can think of. I could be mistaken if I'm remembering wrong. But regardless of all of that, the fact of the matter is that Alpha's like, no, go for the heart. He's like, seriously? It's like, all right, because they're trying to build back up their army of Guardians because they lost a good chunk in this fight. And I think this is such an interesting episode. The mass, everyone is split because Hilltop is burned, is done, and everyone's split. The last time we've seen, and it's so interesting, this group of characters is way different than the group we were. But the reference I was going to make is season 4 when the governor attacked the prison. It was like the different groups and stuff like that, but it was like a completely different group than now. So that's something to kind of, to be fair, it's been many years since season 4. But regardless, it kind of reminded me of that, all the different groups. You had Alden, Kelly, and Mary. And so they're walking, they're trying to take care of the kid, Adam and everything. And Mary's like, oh, let me. And he's like, no, back up. I told you, back away. It's like, I'm going to look after this kid. I'm not letting her anywhere near. But then she starts suggesting like doing this to kind of make him feel better. And Kelly's just like, come on. And Alden reluctantly hands him over and then she ends up soothing the baby. And Kelly just kind of winks like, see? So and it's sad because I think that in that moment, like Alden started warming up a little bit to Mary, realizing like at the end of the day, that is her nephew. And so it's like, this is someone who's literally looking at the only family she has left. Because he's like, you never actually told us what your sister's name was. And she was like, it's Frances. And Mary's saying like, it should have been her here, not me. Because once again, she blames herself because it's like basically saying that Mary loved her baby. Like she, because obviously she only put her baby there because Alpha kind of commanded it. And it's like, in that time, it's like, you think like Alpha's right, like her way is the only way. And so, Mary obviously still regrets it because it's like, she is the reason why her sister died. And so while all that's happening, you have, walkers closing in on them, and they're having to hide. Kelly and Alden get inside, and Mary hands Alden Adam and closes the van, and Odin was like, no. And it's in that moment, like, he's actually starting to care about her because he, it's like all that time he spent kind of hating her, but kind of seeing this side of her. And what did she say last episode? She just, because no one knew if they were going to come out of this situation alive. So it was a situation of she wanted to be able to hold her nephew just one time, because hold him because he's her family, but also hold him because her mom, Adam's mom, can't be there, so she has to hold him in her substitute, I think. But she ends up killing off the walkers, following them, and I'm just like, the entire time I'm like, oh, come on. I was like, oh, this isn't, something's going, I was like, what's going to happen? But she celebrates, which is like, good, and then turns around, and fucking Beta's there. I was like, no! I was like, no. Legitimately heartbreaking. I was like, no. And she's kind of like still got his knife in her stomach, and she's still hitting him. I'm like, no. She's like, I'm not going to join this, because for him, he's going to turn her into a guardian. And she's like, I'm not going to do that. And he brings it up higher and kills her. She ended up ripping part of his mask off. Now, what I thought was interesting, though, is one of the whisperers goes, wait, it's you. He's like, I thought I recognized the voice, and the dude, Beta slashes the dude. So I'm like, what the hell is that about? Is who he is significant? I mean, to be fair, I thought maybe they had their own particular reasons for hiding his identity, but maybe there's reasoning behind that. I'm interested to find out. I'm wondering, because once again, I'm to be fully transparent here. I've never seen any of Fear the Walking Dead. I've seen bits and pieces, very tiny bits and pieces, to the point, if I ever do watch the show, which I do plan on at some point, I'm going to be spoiled on certain things just because I've caught glimpses here and there of stuff. But regardless, the fact of the matter is, I don't know if that's setting up like a Fear the Walking Dead thing, and they're making reference to something from the comic book. Probably not. Like, the fact is, like, I think his unmasking is going to be something in particular. I don't know. Can remember when Alpha met him all those years ago, he was still wearing a mask and everything, hiding it. He scratched out all his faces. So it's like, how is it that someone from the Whisperers know exactly who he is? So it must mean that before all the shit went down, he must have been someone famous that's like, well, I know who you are despite all this time that's passed. Maybe that's what that's insinuating, even to the point that he ends up slicing. So, but I guess it's like because they're supposed to be amongst the dead, because the whole thing is like, oh, Alpha, Gamma, Beta. So I'm thinking it's a situation of like, I can't let anyone know who I really am, because I'm dead. I'm amongst the dead. Who I am doesn't matter anymore. If you know it, you need to die, because I don't want anyone to know who I am. That's what I'm assuming. But he's sitting around waiting for Mary to turn into a walker, and she does. But fortunately, Alda ends up putting her down. It's interesting to see how that ended up spiraling like that. I would have never guessed it would have. The Mary situation kind of reminds me of, wasn't it Noah? It's the actor who played it's the actor from Everybody Hates Chris. Interesting enough, he was in that sadly short-lived Whiskey Cavalier, which he was in that with wasn't it? Is it Tyler Williams? I want to say his name is. It's something like that. I think so. He was in Whiskey Cavalier with Lauren Cohen, the actress who plays Maggie. So I think at the time I didn't correlate, because I forgot that he was in The Walking Dead back in season 5. I think that was. Yeah, it kind of reminded me of that. It was like a short stay with the main group. It's kind of sad to see her story kind of play out that way, So there's that situation. Then there's everything with because I forgot to talk about it. During the attack, you see Magna is a part of the horde and everything, and it's like, for part of me I was like, no, because I feel, I was like, no, if she was dead, she would be a lot more, her skin would be completely different. So it's like, oh, she must have blended in with the horde, and she's there with Yumiko, and because it turns out she got separated from Connie because of like they were going deeper, but then like there were so many numbers of walkers, so she lost Connie's hand slipped out of her hand, so she doesn't know where Connie is. And obviously, Carol being nearby kind of walks away, which Yumiko got pissed about, because it's like, you're just going to walk away, you're not going to say anything. Like, it's like, you need to apologize, because literally everything she went through was your fault. But it's because Carol feels so ashamed. It's like, it's like you should be over there asking her forgiveness. And it's like, what is that going to do? Do you think that's going to make everything better? And Yumiko hits her in the face. Because truth be told, it's for Carol, it's like she can't make it up. Like, because she always feels guilty enough. Because let's not forget what she asked last episode. She asked Daryl, it's like, do you hate me? He was like, I can never hate you. Knowing that Connie's out there somewhere and it's also partially her fault, like she already feels guilty enough about what happened to Magna and Connie. And, because even that conversation with Lydia last episode, it's like, no one's going to hate. I mean, you seem like you really, really hate yourself right now anyway. And so and I think that was the whole thing Magna was saying, like, I didn't ask you to do that. Like, it's not going to make anything better. I mean, the whole sad thing is by pushing people away, like at least if you didn't have anyone important in your life, you kind of wouldn't have to worry about them. They jokingly talk about that, like, oh, we want to have to share a pillow, having someone steal a pillow all the time. They're laughing about it, but it's just kind of, you can understand Yumiko's just frustrated. Then there's, everything with Eugene coming to check on her. And I love that conversation between her and Eugene because she brings up a point of like, Eugene, you ever done something you want to do so badly that basically people kind of get hurt in the process because of you doing something, and at the end of the day you have nothing to show for it? Immediately my brain is like, oh yeah, like Eugene knows that better than anyone. I mean, literally the reason why he was with Rosita and Abraham was that whole lie about like, oh, a cure and stuff like that. So I think he knows directly like, oh, what it's like in that situation. So, but for him, like he had, for him, he was also worried because once again, he had the radio and stuff with him, but obviously like it was burned up. And so there was no way to contact Stephanie. But the whole thing is he wanted to keep up that date. And, I think it's that situation that, Carol could understand where it's like, you don't really know how much time you have in this world type of situation. So if there's something you want to do, you got to do, then go do it. Kind of don't waste time. So we see Eugene just kind of going off. So I'm curious to see like what ends up becoming that situation. Because it's like, okay, so that's definitely going to be interesting to see how that kind of ends up playing out in the long run. Along with that, situation. Once again, I'm going ahead and reiterate what I brought up. That's going to end badly. I don't know. Maybe it's going to get the twist of like, oh, Stephanie's actually good and cool and everything's fine. But I'm like, that's going to end bad. I just know it. Poor Eugene's going to get his heart broken and just like, you're literally dealing with the Whisperers, which we'll talk about that later. But the fact of the matter is, I just feel like this is more issues on the horizon they'll have to deal. Once again, we'll get to it whenever this whole Stephanie and Eugene situation, however that ends up playing out. But another angle to this was like you had Daryl and Rosita, as well as Jerry and his wife, and some few others trying to track down to where the kids were to meet up with Ezekiel, because obviously that deal him and Ezekiel made last episode, whichever one of us is out there, no matter what happens to the other one gets the kids out. And they go there, but sadly there were no kids, and so it's like they're splitting up to find them. We find out Earl's got all the kids, taking care of them, and it's like, all right. I was like, the way Earl was looking, I was like, oh, this doesn't look good. And the moment he flips the table, I was like, what are you about? And he puts that nail. I'm like, you got bit, didn't you? It's like part of you wants to go, maybe you can do Herschel. I mean, granted, arm and not the leg, but it turns out no, you can't. I mean, 'cause there's no telling how long it's been. It's probably already spread, especially with its arm and everything. But and Judah comes around because it's like, you lied, because he said that no, everything's gonna be fine, they're all good, but he did it to protect them and everything. So it's telling Judith that she's strong and she's brave, that it's gonna be up to her to look after the kids. The others will find them. And he tries to kill himself, but he doesn't. Like, I guess he was already in the process of transforming it, or maybe it's just like that moment of hesitating. It's even sad too, because he was basically like, oh, I'm not alone, my wife and my child are with me, and the fact is Alden will look after Adam. But and the sad situation is, at the end of the day, like, luckily, they end up going back to Hilltop. They find Ezekiel, he's good, but it's like, wait, lets them know like, oh, Earl's got the kids. They go to where they are. Luckily, the kids are okay. Daryl goes inside with Judith, because once again, kind of like similar to that Whisper situation, I believe this is the first time Judith's ever had to kill someone that she knows, like had to watch anyone turn. Because let's not forget, she was fairly young when it happened. Like, and I don't know if she remembers it, but remember, it happened to Carl too, but she probably doesn't remember. She wasn't really around that, she wasn't old enough at the time to really process that. So I think this is her first instance of ever having to kill someone that she knows, and I think that's kind of sitting with her a little bit, I'm curious to see what kind of effect that, as well as the Whisperer situation, knowing that there's people potentially under that mask, like what that might do to her. I'm curious in the long run, But fortunately, Daryl's there to kind of hold her, that everything's okay, You also have Negan out there collecting revealing it's like, oh, he has to lure in more walkers and stuff like that. I don't know. It's kind of interesting seeing him kind of getting all like walkerish while he's dragging Lucille and just kind of stopping to look. And it's like, oh, oh crap. That one turns around. He's just like, screw it. Bashes its head in. And lo and behold, who the hell does he run into? None other than Aaron, who's dragging Luke. And it's like, oh, he's like, Aaron. And Aaron's pissed because Aaron and him kind of made up. They were good because it's like, hey, you saved my life. I guess you're good. And it's like, I was right about you. I should kill you. But walkers were there. He had to take care of Luke. So Negan got away. On his way, he runs into none other than Lydia. And the sad thing is, Lydia was actually happy to see him because she didn't see the mask at first. So she's like, hey, because it's like one outsider to another. It's like, hey, you protected me last time. We're good. Oh, shit, you were my mom. So it's like, I'm sorry, kid, this is going to go down. I'm like, oh, God. I was like, this sucks. This sucks so much. And then all of a sudden, like, she's strapped to the chair and stuff. I was like, oh. And it's like, oh, that thing you're looking for? I found it. I was like, dude. And, she's congratulating him and everything. It's actually interesting because we had Negan open up. There are actually only a few instances where Negan really opens up. This is the second time he's kind of referenced this, but basically about losing his wife, hence where the name Lucille for his bat comes from. The fact of the matter is he talked about the fact is her having, pancreatic cancer, plus the chemo. Like, if it wasn't the pancreatic cancer that was going to kill her, it was the chemo because it was kicking her ass. But for him, he's like, even with all her hair gone, like, just despite, in that moment, he realized just how beautiful she was, because I think it's just that thing of, it's one of those things of moments in life where it's just like, shit's just so bad, it just makes you appreciate what you have, and in that moment, he appreciated having this woman and everything, and ended up, losing her. And it's so interesting because you see this sympathetic look in Alpha's eyes, because Alpha wasn't always the woman that she is. Maybe deep down she kind of was. Especially when you look at what we got, what was the perspective that she kind of made it seem like, versus what the truth is that Lydia kind of and because Lydia's perspective when it got warped by her mom over the years. But you get what I'm trying to say, and I'm like, oh. And because even Negan was like, you don't have to do this. But, it's like, because the whole conversation was about death being like Lydia's fate. It's like her to walk beside me. It's like her mom wants to keep Lydia by her. And it's like, if I can't trust her to take over everything, I'm going to trust her to be a part of the army, to be a guardian. Like, it's kind of sad. Because even Lydia had said that at the beginning to Mary. It was like, I won't let her have, like, even I will never walk with her, even in the case of being, a walker, But every chance he got, Negan kept being like, you don't have to do this. You don't have to kill her. Because it was an interesting thing, too, because Negan was like, I am dead to this world, but you're just pretending. Because I think for him, it's like all that he had in his world was gone. But it's like, it kind of made him harden like he is. But you still have your daughter. You're walking pretending like, like you don't feel any emotions, that your emotions are buried. It's like bullshit, because you feel something for your daughter. You still love her, don't you? But it's like for her, it's like, I'm doing this because I love her. And the whole moment back and forth with Lydia in the chair and everything, I was like, oh God. I was like, but I was thinking to myself, it's like, you're not in the same place. He dumped you off somewhere else, right? And I'm like, is it going to be that? Is it? And then it's like, Lydia opens the door, but it's not there. And Alpha opens the door, and I was like, if she's not there, what the hell is Negan going to do? And Alpha turns around, he slices her throat. I was like, what? Because in that moment, I was like, wait, we're killing off the quote unquote main antagonist like that? Okay, that's surprising. I guess. I guess it's kind of, because we haven't had a main antagonist kick the bucket like that since the governor. He was the last one we saw literally kick the bucket like that, where it's like, oh yeah, Ted got sliced off and everything. Hell, literally, it's a different situation, but it ends the same, because the governor ended up getting his head cut off by, because it was retribution for him cutting off, Herschel's head and everything. But regardless, I was like, and then she's bleeding in his arms and he's kissing her and everything, because I think he felt bad. Maybe that's why he was able to kind of see Alpha a little differently than most people were, because probably when he looked at her, he probably thought like Lucille of just what Lucille was going through. So, but he could also see like who Alpha was trying to be and who she felt like she needed to be versus who she kind of really was. Once again, that she was kind of pretending to be amongst the dead. I'm so curious to see what the hell that means for the Whisperers, especially when Beta finds out. Oh, that's ooh. Because the way Alpha was setting it up, she wanted him to kind of be like a lion in a sense. But he's like, yeah, I'm not too well versed on this old Greek alphabet thing, but beta isn't an alpha, and shouldn't the little lioness take over for the lion? Like, it basically saying that Lydia should be your replacement. That was kind of her whole point anyway, but obviously that ended up being the case. But it's like, holy crap. And then lo and behold, he shows up to Carol. I was like, oh, I guess to show that you're still on their side. And then Carol's like, took you long enough. I was like, this was your fucking plan? Carol playing the long game? The long con? No one knew it. I mean, to be fair, every time we turn around, we had no idea which, but I guess it was just in case Negan ever effed up, she needed to have other backup plans, contingencies, but I guess this was like one of her plans, but it's like, it came through and it's like, well, to be fair, Negan didn't actually, it's a thing of like, well, you got to play both sides in this whole situation. Yeah, some people died, but come on, it could have been worse. I literally cut off the snake of the head. It's like, what's going to happen to the rest of them? Probably Beta's going to try to step up, but it's like, you stepping up is probably not going to be the same thing. They're probably not going to follow you as well just because of that. But I'm like, legitimately, that's super surprising me. I didn't expect them to kill Alpha. I didn't expect that. Once again, I've never read the comic books, so that's probably true to the comic books. It might be like, oh, like shit ends like that for Alpha. You know, because once again, the show kills people that don't die in the comic book and also makes people live in a show that died in the comic books. There are plenty of examples of that roaming all around, but it's like, wow. Okay. So where the hell does all of this lead us? Granted, like I said, they might be a little dismantled or, disorganized. Beta might try and take over lead, but the Whisperers are probably going to get revenge, especially Beta. Oh, he's definitely going to want revenge because he followed Alpha like a puppy, especially knowing that Negan's the one. Oh, it's probably going to be Negan versus Beta at some point in time. That's going to be interesting. But obviously, the Whisperers still have like a huge-ass army, that horde. But let's not also forget, our group is super scattered. There's good clumps of groups, but at the same time, everyone else is kind of scattered. Are they going to be super welcoming when they're like, oh yeah, Negan actually killed Alpha. Here's her head. He brought it to me. This is my plan. Probably piss people off too. You could have warned us. It's like, but she's probably like, I couldn't take a chance that anyone knew. So it's going to be a whole thing. I caught a glimpse of next week's episode. If you don't know me, I don't like watching previews. I like to be completely surprised. But finally, it seems like we're going to catch up to see everything that Michonne's kind of been going through, so it's going to be interesting to catch up on that, but I'm still like, where the hell is all this going? Dude, I'm so excited to ultimately see where everything takes us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.